Hey, Keith here for Am I Rich and how are you? Yes, today we might actually have a gem here. So today the stock is Pembina Pipeline. The ticker symbol is PBL on the Toronto Stock Exchange and PBA on the US stock exchanges. So not to be confused with PPL in the United States, which is PPL Core. It's a energy transmission company. So what does Pembina Pipeline do? Well, the name suggests a little bit that they're a midstream oil and gas company. They have pipelines, and they also have fractionation plants along with a few other things. Where are their pipelines? Their pipelines are going all the way from near the Alaska Highway in British Columbia all the way to Chicago, and they have a pipeline that goes from east of Salt Lake City all the way to Oregon. They have been around for quite a while in Western North America and have a pretty decent track record for producing earnings. Now, this is a Canadian company, and so I will quote the Canadian prices. Its current stock price is at $47.66. That gives it a PE ratio, and this PE ratio is 18.9 with a forward PE ratio of 19.3, which might be, something lurking in the bushes is what I see. But anyways, its price to book ratio is 1.7, which is very fair. So typically the market price to earning ratios of 18 to 22. That's kind of a very fair price for most companies. And same with price to book ratio. When you get closer to 1, you're getting pretty cheap. Over 2, you're starting to get a little bit expensive. So 1.7 is very fairly priced, I would say. This stock, one of its attractive qualities is its dividend. It's 4.8%. And sure, you might think, well, 4.8%, but, well, does it pay out annually? No. Does it pay out quarterly? No. It pays out monthly. Yes. So if you like monthly cash flows, then this is an interesting stock. It also has a 5-year growth rate of about 13.6%, which is kind of matching the, the S&P, high-end estimates of the S&P. So it's kind of the market. It's growing with the market, maybe a little bit faster. So nice past growth, and so the management at least has been able to show that they can do a decent growth plan. So what are the issues with this stock? What's going on? So actually the last, since New Year's, I think it's gone up like 7 Canadian dollars. So something like, I don't know, more than 15% or something. So, but a lot of stocks have kind of went up in the 10% plus range. So it's maybe not that surprising in that time. But what are the other things about this stock? So you might look at the PE ratios and say, okay, the forward PE is higher than the PE ratio. What's going on? It sounds like nice growth, and suddenly it's going to slow. And that is the case, I think. So basically, if you were to look at their strategy, they were really growing their business in the last few years, and then this 2018, 2019, 2020 range, they're not having as much investment into the future. So they are investing in kind of upgrading their facilities, and that should increase profitability. But maybe the investment is not as exciting as some people like. So it's kind of expected to be kind of flatter growth, I should say. But in the future, they have mentioned that they're going to open up a propane dehydrogenation and polypropylene plant near Edmonton, Canada. And also they're in the works, they should find out later this year if they can do a export facility in Coos Bay, Oregon, I think. So that's kind of their big, over $10 billion type investments that are really going to stir growth. And right now they're making propane, butane, ethane, condensate, a few other products like that for like industrial heating and fertilizers, maybe, or plastics, and then helping oil move along through pipelines, those kind of things. So in addition, they're going to start making polypropylene, which is a very popular plastic. It's in like plastic bottles everywhere. I don't know if it's in plastic. It might be the plastic straw thing too, but I know people don't like plastic straws right now. It's kind of a save the ocean kind of issue, and fair enough. So they might not be doing that, but plastic in general, I think, has a really bright future. So that's something they're doing. And so I kind of see that their plants they're going to build as things that people need and will continue to need. And a company like this who does pipelines and big facilities, they need regulatory approval by governments, and so it's really hard for competitors to just step in and like take away their business overnight. So you have this nice moat, or at least like a several year, like 5-10 year kind of window into other companies eating their lunch. So it's just like a railway. Like the competition just can't get a foothold as long as they're not like outrageously bad at management. They just keep chugging along. So the bull thesis on this company is, I think it's probably going to have kind of flat growth for a little bit of this year, and then it's going to start ramping up maybe near the end of the year, or if they get full approval for their facility in Oregon. Basically, they're going to see a lot of money going into infrastructure and building up their products and increasing their revenue in the future. So you're going to see a nice kind of growth cycle start to happen, and I kind of think the prices right now, because they're fairly valued and the company's planning on growing really well, it has a great dividend. Their dividend has doubled in the last 5 years, and they continue to increase it. And it has a moat, so you could have this company even if it didn't grow. It's got such a big moat that you'd have a really stable dividend, I think. And so yeah, like growth, a little bit of nice growth potential, great dividend, chance of growing dividend, infrastructure moat. It has products that people are going to need in the future. The stock varies a little bit with oil and gas price, but the actual profits of the company don't vary as much as the stock usually does. So even in the short term, if oil goes down, you could see the stock kind of go down as well. Like the whole industry, I think, is down because the oil price has gone down. But the profits of these companies haven't really gone down as much, so or haven't really gone down at all. So you kind of see this as just a growing company, and at some point the stock should rebound, or you can just hold on to it, and it's like a really solid dividend company. So that's kind of my bear thesis, or bullish thesis on it. And the bear thesis, just like I did a video on Kira earlier, and the bear theses on these, the bear theses are usually like you need something bad to happen, like a plant needs to have an explosion, or a pipeline's leaking everywhere and causing all sorts of environmental havoc, so that they have to pay lots of damage fees. These are possible, but like pipelines, they have occasional leaks here and there, so I do see that as a potential risk. But as long as they have a good maintenance program, it's usually not as big of a risk. And usually when you get to really old oil fields, a lot of the bigger companies, they try and sell off those oil fields to more junior companies, and then either those junior companies do well, or the infrastructure's not maintained well enough, and then they usually lose out. So these companies are usually fairly safe that way. Yeah, and so that would be the bear thesis. Something major catastrophic happens, or they don't get approval for their new facility in Oregon. That's going to like slow their growth potential. So I could see their stock kind of dwindling where it is right now, or maybe dropping a bit, unless like a major explosion happened. These are really outrageous things, like like 1% chance or less than that. So you it's hard to plan around that kind of stuff. So basically the bear thesis, a reasonable bear thesis is something bad happens, their stock kind of drops, like 5% or whatever, 10% maybe, but basically it doesn't do much for a few years. But in the meantime, you're going to get a dividend that's really good. So I just don't really see a lot of downside to this stock, and yeah, that's why I'm picking it for today. So I don't know, what do you guys think about Pembina? Is this like something that's just like hiding in the bushes and about to jump out and like, rawr, this is awesome? Or is it a stock that's just just oil and gas, you should never get it? I don't know. Like, what do you guys think about Pembina? I really see this as a great buy at the moment. Very, very likely to be safe, and really good dividend return, really good growth, decent growth potential. Yeah, I mean, like, they're making polypropylene, like a fully recyclable plastic. It's not really that bad of a product. There, natural gas, if you burn natural gas, it's better than, natural gas is a worse greenhouse gas than something like carbon dioxide, so it's not really that bad of a product. I mean, if you kept it in the ground, it might be different, so that's a different argument. But what I'm trying to say is, I think this is a good stock. Personally, I already own some of this stock. I don't know that I'll add to it right now because the stock price just jumped up a bit, but I'm totally comfortable holding it, and maybe later in the year I might add more because, yeah, especially if they do confirm that they're going to continue this growth path they're following, they get approval for it, then yeah, the stock price has a really good chance of just going up more, quite a bit more. I could see the stock, getting, it could get up to like the, the $70, $80 mark. I don't know that that's really going to happen right away, but I don't see that as an unreasonable price. And currently at like $47, that's a pretty good appreciation. And even if I'm totally wrong, it just stays around like the 40-something dollar range, and you get 4% plus dividend, and it doubles like every 5 years. You could hang on to it for 10 years, and you'd be making like 20% in a year just on your dividend, maybe. I don't know, something crazy like that. So maybe, well, 10% or something, but yeah. Anyways, very interesting stock, and I'd love to know your opinion. Feel free to write anything you want in the doobly-doo below, and we'll see you next time.